ESPN 1080 The Team presents the ESPN1080.com Insider Show, delivering you the latest news and notes from around the sports world. We got all your local teams covered, including the Knights.
That's it, ball game over, and the UCF Knights have upset 16th-ranked Florida.
The Magic.
Howard soaring high above the rim.
The Rays.
A walk-off, home run.
The Bucks.
On the rollout, Raymond throws, touchdown.
And the Knolls.
Touchdown FSU.
The Insiders are your ticket into the press box. And now, here's your Insider.
And good morning, Orlando and Central Florida, all wherever you be listening, whether it be on ESPN 1080 Orlando or ESPN1080.com. Eric Lopez, your Knights and College Insiders, here with you in the 1080 studios here on this beautiful Sunday morning in Orlando as we welcome you. Glad you can tune in. Join alongside the fine producer, Mr. David Buckman. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Orlando.
Very good. And also joined by the People's Insider. People Insider, tell the audience where they can find us.
They can find us at Twitter on Insiders1080. That's twitter.com, Insiders1080.
We have a Facebook page, too, don't we?
Yes, we do. The ESPN 1080 Insiders. All the news and articles you can find on ESPNFlorida.com there as well.
You can always call us for 407-482-3776 is the phone number. Great show today. We are scheduled to be joined by UCF head baseball coach Terry Rooney in about 20 minutes. He's on the road, though. Very difficult. He is a hard-working man coming off another top 25 recruiting class, the Black and Gold Series this week for UCF. Fall ball going on for UCF. We'll catch up a little bit on that. We'll also have his thoughts on the Major League Baseball World Series. Yes, there is a Major League Baseball World Series going on. The Cardinals won last night 16-7 to take a 2-1 lead. And that series, Game 4 tonight on ESPN 1080. Right here, you can hear every pitch of the World Series on this beautiful station right here. Other news of the story from the night, the Oklahoma Sooners, #1 ranked in the nation, upset by Texas Tech 41-38. That was finished off at 1 a.m. And for that and more, and talk college football now, we're joined by my other insider. He is the NBA and Magic Insider, which is really kind of pointless right now, so that's why he's in Tallahassee to talk college football. He was at the Florida State-Maryland game, watching the Seminoles beat Maryland 41-16 to Mr. Andrew Melnick. Andrew, have you found an NBA deal in Tallahassee?
I haven't, but they don't care about that up here too much. Only one thing on people's minds.
Absolutely, that's true. Give me your thoughts, first of all, on the big story last night. Oklahoma goes down a near 30-point favorite at Texas Tech. You saw Oklahoma in person earlier this year. I mean, this is a shocker.
Yeah, and what's kind of cool is most people probably were angry about the delay, but me getting out of the stadium late and everything, I was happy about it. Got to watch almost the entire game. And, yeah, it's nothing but a shock. I mean, Texas Tech's an improved team. You know they're going to be a better team under Tommy Tuberville, maybe even than they were under Mike Leach. The jury's out on that one. But, yeah, a complete shocker because it looked like, you know, one of Oklahoma's bigger problems last year was defense. And early this year, you know, shutting down Texas, shutting down Florida State for the most part, it looked like that was a problem they solved, and then they just got absolutely lit up last night.
They got lit up, dug themselves a hole, and could never come out of it, ending their 39-game home winning streak, which was third longest ever in college football. The Sooners, I mean, that's a fatal blow. I don't think they can recover from that. I think they're out of the national title completely because they're going to, not only they're going to need all the undefeateds to lose, I think they're going to need probably the loser of LSU Bama to lose twice just to get in.
Yeah, they might have to. And, you know, you're looking at some of these schedules that Clemson has left, that Boise State left, Stanford essentially has a one-game schedule left with Oregon. So it's going to be tough seeing all three of those teams go down.
Well, that's going to be the difficult part. So who was, in your opinion, the biggest winner from Oklahoma losing there? As your phone is starting to break up.
The biggest winner from Oklahoma losing? I'd have to say probably a tie between Clemson and Stanford. I mean, these are the two teams that look like they'd be on the outside looking in if they went undefeated. And now with the two of them, you know, still undefeated, Oklahoma going down, you got a better chance of neither of the Oklahoma teams going undefeated, of course, because Oklahoma plays Oklahoma State at the end of the season.
Stanford looked pretty good. Of course, that was the other positive of the Oklahoma game delay. The Stanford game was shown throughout Orlando. So many got to see Andrew Luck in person. Didn't have to do a lot because, boy, Stanford ran for over 400 yards of offense. A dynamic performance. We'll talk more about Andrew Luck in the 10:45 segment. We have a Dolphin fan's going to call in, and we're going to just pretty much pray that we get Andrew Luck basically in that segment. But nonetheless,
you watched last night, Eric. Though you watched any of the Notre Dame USC game?
Did.
I'm not so sure Matt Barkley would be a bad competition prize if Miami doesn't get the number one.
Well,
pick.
this is the question that I would have though. If you're Matt Barkley, he's just a junior. Do you go out or do you wait a year and become the number one pick the following year?
Well, I think it kind of depends because if we look at a couple teams, if you look at Miami and then, I don't know, for the sake of it, we'll just say Denver since they're on the top of my head playing Miami today.
Exactly. We have that's no negative connotation on their current quarterback.
No, not at all.
Not on purpose, but let's just say he finishes the season out poorly and those are the first two picks. Then I think if you're Matt Barkley, you probably do come out if you're sure you're going to be, 2, 3, 4 pick there.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Of course, the other action from last night, a classic finish. Michigan State beats Wisconsin 37-31 on the Hail Mary on the last play. The Badgers' national title hopes are badged, and the Spartans, they do it again to Wisconsin for the second year in a row.
Yeah, they do. The only team to beat Wisconsin last year, and of course, because of the realignment, Nebraska entering the conference, Wisconsin actually the unfair advantage of having to go to East Lansing for the second year in a row, and for the second year in a row, they lose. And it's a good thing that Hail Mary was complete, not just for the excitement, but Wisconsin, down by 14 with 8, 9 minutes to go, had basically stole all the momentum back. Michigan State, when they first got the ball back, they lost 11 yards on the very first play. Looked like they were, the game was going to be over, Wisconsin was going to win, and then, the miracle ensued.
And a miracle indeed. Oh, by the way, LSU and Alabama took care of business in their game, so the showdown is set for 2 weeks. Both teams have a bye. We'll talk more about that matchup next week. But LSU, Alabama, the clear-cut top two by a wide margin, in your opinion?
Oh, yeah. But with Oklahoma going down absolutely by a wide margin, and LSU, that game never really closed 7-3 early, and then Alabama decided to kind of screw around for a half and tied it. But then, obviously, blew that one wide open pretty quickly.
Andrew, I gotta ask, where are you, man?
I am in the hotel.
Oh, it sounds like you're in those tunnels at FSU somewhere, man. Jeez.
I am not.
Well, let's talk about the Seminoles game. You were there yesterday. Florida State beating Maryland 41-16, a game that he heard right here on ESPN1080. Buckman produced that quality game. I don't think FSU's lost a game you've produced yet. Have you, Buckman?
No, I don't think they have, which is unfortunate.
Zing!
Wow, yeah, you can tell he's not a big Noles fan, but that's too bad for
bitter
him.
night behind the glass there.
Bitter night, yeah. We won't go there, but yeah, that's probably accurate. Florida State, your thoughts on the game? As we kind of expected, not a huge crowd, not a bad crowd, but not a great crowd. But nonetheless, what they saw is Florida State took care of business early, got off to a great start in the first quarter. Kind of let Maryland hang around there. Certainly the ACC officials did a great job of letting Maryland stay in the game early, but then Florida State took over and dominated.
Yeah, you got to be pretty happy. I mean, they're a team that 2-4, well 2-5 now after the loss. Way below expectations. Daniel bench came back in yesterday when C.J. Brown got hurt, but they scored 45 points against Clemson last. Really. If the kicker would have listened and maybe not kicked to Sammy Watkins. And, they didn't really do a whole lot against Florida State. They got a long play at the end, had their stats to make the game seem a little more respectable for them. But for the most part, I think if you're a Florida State fan, looked like the running game was struggling. And then in the second half, they were kind of able to just kill the clock and ram it right down Maryland's throat with Devonta Freeman, Jermaine Thomas, and even a little bit of James Wilder. So I think you got to be pretty happy there. You got to be fairly happy with the defense. And I mean, when you've already lost the conference.
Yeah, it was a very pleasing effort. My question to you, Freeman and Wilder, as we got a couple minutes before a break. Freeman and Wilder, to me, they look like the two best backs on the team. Should they get more playing time moving forward?
Well, here's the thing. Ty Jones a little banged up. We didn't even see him get a carry. Chris Thompson with the broken back, we're worried about his football future at all. And Devonta Freeman, he started the game. It looks like he's going to be maybe not the complete man, but the main man for them. He's going to get more carries than anyone else, and I think that's well-deserved. With Wilder, I think they're still weary of him for some reason. He never goes down on contact. they're still wary of him. He didn't get any runs really till garbage time yesterday. Looked okay doing it, but of course, wasn't exactly playing a great team. Was playing at the end of the game with a worn-down Maryland defense. But Devonta Freeman for sure is going to continue to get more carries.
What's the future of James Wilder? Because Freeman seems to be the guy for the next few years. I mean, can Wilder get enough touches to be happy at running back, or do you think a position change could happen?
Well, that's been talked about forever. The guy was probably a better high school linebacker than he was a running back. And Florida State, of course, recruiting a couple more running backs. We'll have Mario Pender, who's leading the state in rushing, coming in next year. There's a lot of talk about Barry Sanders Jr., as you guys know that familiar, coming to Tallahassee next year. We'll talk about that, but you need more than one back to be successful. And Jermaine Ty seniors, we don't know what the future is going to hold for Chris Thompson now. So I think James Wilder, at least in the immediate future, is going to stay at running back.
It should be interesting. Last question before we let you go. Christian Ponder makes his debut today for the Vikings against the Packers. You've watched almost every throw he did at FSU during his 4 years there. Your thoughts on how he'll do today?
Probably good. Not very good offensive line. The Packers have struggled on defense. They've given up some big plays. They've given up a lot of plays in a few games, but they can rush the passer. I don't see the Vikings really being able to block them. I think Ponder's stats will probably actually not look at the end of the game because they're going to be playing from behind all day.
That's Andrew Melnick, your NBA and Magic insider. Check him out on ESPN1080.com, ESPNFlorida.com this week. He'll be writing, posting probably the top 25 polls and adding some articles, probably talking about more cancellation NBA games, right?
More than likely.
Yeah, exciting stuff there, huh, Buckman? More cancellation NBA?
Yeah, it's
you got a Magic shirt. Is that a Magic shirt you got on, Buckman?
It is, man.
That's an old school Magic.
Old school.
Like Buckman has
Vintage.
like this old what is this? Like 1990 Magic shirt?
Vintage.
Vintage.
This I got this at a thrift shop.
Fine.
No, I'm just kidding. I bought it at Old Navy.
All right, Andrew, have a safe trip back to Central Florida there. Glad you had a good time in Tally, and glad you brought a win, more importantly. That's a perfect way to end it.
Got him.
Make a note to self. Tallahassee Hotel's not a great place to do a show.
Not ideal
call in for a show.
Not ideal for call-ins.
Would you agree with that, Buckman?
Couldn't have put it any better myself. I thought he was in one of those tunnels that they have.
He did.
He should have taken my lead when I was in game. Just go to the stadium and do the show. It's open air. Yeah, what are you going to do?
Good reception.
Anyway, all right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be scheduled to be joined by UCF head baseball coach Terry Rooney, as we'll talk about UCF, how they're doing in the fall, fresh off an NCAA tournament bid, and that and much more. You're listening to the ESPN 1080 Insider Show on ESPN 1080, The Team.
The Insiders will be right back.
Welcome back to the ESPN 1080 Insider Show here in ESPN 1080 The Team in Orlando. Eric Lopez here, your sole insider in studio today. Andrew Melnick, you just heard last segment in Tallahassee, catching the FSU Maryland game. He'll be back in studio possibly next week. David Buckman producing their little baseball music there, D-Buck.
I mean, we were scheduled for Terry Rooney.
And we still could be. He is on the road, though. We did warn you. He's on the road. The guy's a machine, man. He's recruiting across the world, the country. Coach Rooney is on. Yes! I'm excited now. Coach, how's it going?
Guys, how are you? How you doing? Thanks for having me on this morning.
Great job, Coach. Have you watched any of the World Series so far?
I got to admit it. I really have not watched any of it, believe it or not.
Don't worry.
I know that sounds crazy coming from a head baseball coach, but I really haven't watched a lot of it, and we've kind of been finishing up our fall ball and been out recruiting. So I'm actually out on the road recruiting right now, so if you hear balls and bats, that's where I am.
Well, you've definitely been busy recruiting. The 17th ranked in the Nation Baseball America recruiting class. Once again, another top 25 class. Congratulations. I mean, just talk about the new class you've got.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, obviously that's a collective effort of a lot of people, assistant coaches, staff, etc. But I think the most important thing that certainly speaks volumes about the level of talent that we're continuing to bring into UCF, and really I think the direction of our baseball program. When you look at the class altogether, it's a nice combination of junior college players and high school kids, and I really feel like, especially on the mound, we've got some guys in there who are going to have an opportunity to contribute right away.
Of course, we're speaking with UCF head baseball coach Terry Rooney. The Black and Gold Series, October 26th through the 28th, starts this Wednesday. You can check it out for free, the audience. And talk about the fall. How's that going now? You've got a blend in of the new class coming in with some of the veterans back from last year's NCAA tournament team. How's that going so far?
The fall's going great. Yeah, the fall is going great. It really is. You know, we have one more week left, and we have our annual World Series, and next Friday night is the big night for anybody that can make it out. We've had really great crowds, the last couple of years on that night. We do it on Friday night at 6:30, the night before a big football game next Saturday, and but the fall has gone great. I really feel like we have got a group of experienced position players specifically. When you look around the diamond, and for all the people that know our players, all you have to do is look at, just go around the horn. Tallahassee, Breen, Ronnie Richardson, Darnell Sweeney, DJ Hicks, Hempy. I mean, they're all back. So I think the success of our team, or the strength of our team at the moment, is certainly our position players. And then obviously, again, we have some returning pitchers. We're going to have to rely on some of the youth on the mound.
Coach, you lost Bo Taylor, one of your, star players, excellent catcher. Is Ryan Breen going to step up and be your go-to guy this year?
But I tell you what, if I haven't been asked a question about our catching 100 times, and that is rightfully so. Anybody that follows our team knows that is the biggest question that we need to get answered prior to our opening game in February. To answer the question specifically, I do not know who our starter is going to be yet. To be honest with you, nor probably will I right up until our first game in February. I can tell you this, there's a handful of guys competing for the job. Ryan Breen, two newcomers, and Nick Carrillo, a junior college transfer from Central Arizona. We also have a newcomer freshman, Dale Irving, freshman catcher from the Panhandle. Obviously Tallahassee, and then Ethan Smith. So we've got about 4 or 5 guys back there who are doing it. The one thing I do know is this. One, Talladay's been out for the fall. We've got a lot of injuries from our position players. Eric Hempy, Tallahassee, Austin Johnson, those guys are out. So really, it's given a good opportunity, for the return for some of the new boys to get a chance to play. But I know this. I feel confident knowing that Breen and Tallahassee are going to be in the lineup as they have been for the last 2 years. And Nick Carrillo, the transfer, it really swings the bat. So just a matter who can do it defensively.
You talked about the pitching, a little bit of a mixture, a lot of youth coming in. You got a transfer, of course, in Chris Matulis, who you know from LSU days. Talk about him and what to expect from him.
Well, I tell you, Chris Matulis, we're expecting big things from him. I recruited Chris to LSU when I was there, recruited him for about 1.5 years, and I didn't coach him. I actually left LSU that summer when Chris was a freshman. And, listen, he was for 2 years there. He was in and out of their starting rotation and kind of varied from a Sunday starter to a midweek guy and pitched some big games in his career in the SEC. So obviously I feel like we've got a proven veteran pitcher in Chris. He's a big list. This tells you, for all the people following us out there, this tells you how good Chris Matulis is. He was drafted last year, literally a few months ago in June, by the St. Louis Cardinals and didn't throw a pitch for us. So there's a lot of people that expect a lot of good things for us. But he's a big, hard-throwing lefty who is definitely vying for a chance to pitch in our rotation.
Is this as wide open of a rotation as it looks on paper? I mean, you brought in a lot of young guys. We mentioned Matulis. You got Garrett Nuss, who you brought in. You got Skoglin, who you brought in from Sarasota, Florida, the lefty pitcher. And yet you say you got some returners like Ben Lively, who was in the rotation for a part of the last season. I mean, just this rotation seems to it could be a great competition there, isn't there?
I think it definitely is. I think that's very valid. It is quite a competition right now. When you look at it, we've only got we've got a handful of guys who have started games. Certainly, it starts with Brian Atkins. I mean, Brian Atkins was our number 1 pitcher last year. Pitched the most innings, pitched some big games, started the regional. So it starts with Brian. So I know what Brian can do. I feel confident knowing the type of pitcher Brian is, and I think a big key out there is the improvement and the growth of Ben Lively. Ben was like a lot of freshmen, started off great last year and kind of had some ups and downs, but he's made some great adjustments. And I think returning-wise, Ben Lively, Joe Rogers, those are 2 guys that need to continue to contribute and continue to grow on the mound for us. But specifically, you're right. There's a couple young guys that have caught my attention. Garrett Nuss, Eric Skoglin specifically are 2 new guys that are going to have a chance to pitch. But I think when you look at returning pitchers, Ben Lively is a big key for us.
Offensively, you do get DJ Hicks back, which we were very excited about. You got Ronnie Richardson back, Sweeney, very veterans there.
Mm-hmm.
Are those the leaders you kind of expect to lead this ball club as we get closer to the season?
I think we've got a lot of leaders. I really do. You know, I sometimes I catch myself sitting back at practice and just kind of smiling to myself when I look at that group of kids that we brought in 3 years ago in our first recruiting class, and they're all juniors now. When you look at Tallahassee and Breen and Sweeney and, you know, Ronnie Rich and Joe Rogers, I mean, all those guys. So, you know, I don't expect one or two leaders. I expect several leaders out of those guys, and they've done a great job.
Have you reflected on last season, making the NCAA tournament? Do you give yourself like a chance to kind of reflect, like, hey, we accomplished a lot this year? Because I know you're the type that likes to move forward and get the, you know, move to the next day. But you had a great year with this program, got it back to the postseason for the first time since '04. Did you give yourself a chance to reflect on it?
Well, I mean, a little bit. I mean, I think it's the great efforts of a lot of people, you know, no question. But I really think that you know, it was the right step and it was the right time. You know, I felt like it would take us 2 or 3 recruiting classes to have a chance to get back in the top 25 and get back in a regional. And look, it took us 2 classes, and now we're in our 3rd class. So it was an absolute step in the right direction. We're in and out of the top 25. We got to an NCAA regional, so it was a step in the right direction, and now for us it's about, you know, taking the next step and taking a jump, and I believe we can do it. You know, there's different things that go into it. Players, obviously. Yeah. Hey, I know this much. That's why I'm on the road recruiting right now. You're a great coach. We got great players, all right? Don't let anybody tell you it's different. So that's why I'm so active on the recruiting front. But that's a big part of it. But I think the other part of it is the expansion of our stadium. That's what's got to happen. We've got to continue with the renovations of our stadium. And listen, I've been very vocal about that, you know, and we're in the midst of hopefully starting it. But for us to compete at the highest level of college baseball, you know, all you have to do is look at it. We were ranked 17th in the country with our baseball, with our recruiting class. Just compare the stadiums of the other programs in the top 25 against ours, you know. So I think I just say that because it shows where we have to go with our facility to continue to keep up with everybody else in the country.
Now, you've got 2 new assistant coaches this year, Ryan Clutterman, Joe Mercadante, who comes from Miami. Just talk about what those guys bring to the program.
Yeah, those guys have been great. You know, obviously with success comes opportunities, and a couple coaches, you know, decided to pursue those, and I wish them the best. And, you know, obviously Coach Godwin and I were together for 6 years at 3 different schools, and he did a great job. But again, we talk about Coach Mercadante. Here's a guy that's coached in Omaha. He was at Miami for 7 years. He's coached third base in Omaha in front of 30,000 people. He can't do much better than that. And Coach Klossman has been coaching pro ball, you know, for the last, playing professional baseball for the last 7 or 8 years. Was an All-SEC shortstop at Vanderbilt. So, you know, we've got a guy that's been in pro ball for the last 8 years, understands how it works, and another guy that's been in Omaha. So they're doing a great job for us.
Coach, all the talk about Big East expansion, UCF's right in the middle of it. Rumored one of the schools that would go in all sports. What's your take on that?
Well, you know, I mean, listen, I think, you know, I kind of obviously have the same position as everybody. We're just continuing to, you know, monitor the landscape of college athletics, and I think it is what it is. You know, whatever happens, happens. You know, I know that we've got outstanding leadership in our athletics program with Keith Tribble, and we'll make the correct decision that he feels best for the entire athletic department.
We're speaking with head UCF baseball coach Terry Rooney. The Black and Gold Series right here at the UCF Baseball Complex starting Wednesday, Friday, 6:30 first pitch. Coach, last question before I let you get back on the road. If you can get one thing accomplished before fall ends, what is it you want to get accomplished most importantly?
That's a great question. Overall, I want to make sure we continue to play the game a certain way, our style. Number 2, we need to continue to shrink the learning curve of the new players. That's a big thing, you know. I mean, that's for everybody. Anytime you got new kids, the quicker they can adapt to a system, the better. So that's kind of generally speaking. And number 3 is I want to make sure we continue to throw a lot of strikes. That's a big thing. We've really put an emphasis on that, is the running game and throwing strikes. Certainly because we're unsure of what our catching situation is. But point being is that I think the fall is designed just to evaluate your team and your fundamentals. You know, we're not going to have any questions answered. We're fortunate that in Florida, you know, we're going to be we can still practice, you know, that about 5 weeks before we open up. So that's going to be a big thing. But I feel a little bit better knowing how our catchers, at least we don't have the catching situation answered, but at least have it evaluated besides Cristaldi, who's been hurt. So.
Well, Coach, enjoy the role. One more request, by the way. I think you deserve a rematch with Mark Daniels on the Beat of Sports in an 80s music challenge. I enjoyed that.
Hey, listen, hey, Mark, it's happening. I believe it is Thursday morning at 10:30. Yes! Thursday morning, 10:30. Daniels, Rooney, round 2. I'm going to get mentally prepared. As I tell my players, I'm going to get my mind right. In my mind, I'm going to make sure I just go through the Rolodex of 80s music. I got stumped on a few last time. Mark Daniels clearly won. I congratulate him, but I can tell you this, I'll be up all night ready for a rematch.
Well, now you have the experience of going through it the first time. Now you're ready to roll the second time around.
There's no doubt about it. I'm looking forward to it. He's an outstanding competitor. Big morning. How about a big week for you guys, huh? Thursday morning, me and Daniels, ESPN1080 showdown. Friday night, black and gold game.
Beautiful. What a great week for UCF baseball. Coach, congrats again on the recruiting class. Safe travels on the road, and we'll see you out there.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for having me on. Have a great week.
You too. That's UCF head baseball coach Terry Rooney joining us here on ESPN 1080 Insider Show on ESPN 1080 The Team. And Buckman, he's fired up. He's ready to roll.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear from the head baseball coach. That's still my favorite sport.
You're fired up for that. I know you were telling me that.
I was excited when I went to pick up the phone to call Carlos.
Yeah.
And on the other line,
he rose to the occasion.
I didn't even know the phone was ringing. I went to press line 1. I heard somebody. I was like, ESPN Radio. He's like, hey, David, because I left him a message.
Sure.
And he said, hey, David. I was like, oh, is this Coach Rooney? He's like, yeah, this is Terry Rooney. I'm like, oh, hey, Coach, how you doing? I bet the guys are going to be excited. And boom.
That was exciting.
You were excited. I was excited, too.
How can you not be excited? He's a great guy and had a great season. They got a great... Now, and how about the fact, a rematch with Mark Daniels on Thursday, 80s music. You can't beat that.
No, that's definitely something that Brian's going to have to record during that show, and that's something that's got to go on the website.
Are you making that request right now? On the air. Make that request to Brian Winiger on the air so he knows it loud and clear.
If Brian is awake and listening.
He listens to the archives. Don't worry. If he's sleeping.
Well,
he doesn't sleep.
I just hope he gets to that. So
fantastic. But, yeah, check out the Black and Gold series. Should be exciting. Wednesday through Friday. Friday at 6:30, first pitch. Wednesday, Thursday, I believe it's at 3 o'clock. Go to UCFathletics.com for more details on that. So, again, we thank Coach Rooney for joining us on the show. When we come back, Miami Dolphins, Denver Broncos. Andrew Luck. We want luck. We're going to be joined by a Dolphin fan who will clue us in on the battle that is for Andrew Luck. That's coming up next. You're listening to ESPN 1080 Insider Show on ESPN 1080 The Team.
The Insiders will be right back.
And we welcome you back to ESPN 1080 The Team. This is the ESPN 1080 Insider Show. Eric Lopez here in the 1080 studios listening to a little Eye of the Tiger, a little 80s music. Look at Buckman's all dancing in the studio where I've never seen Buckman dance before. He is a dancer galore with his vintage Magic shirt. Oh, little Tears for Fears. Is that what we got there?
Yes, it is.
I'm practicing my 80s knowledge. For those that don't know, Terry Rooney, our UCF head baseball coach, joined us last segment. He's going to battle Mark Daniels on the Beat of Sports, 9 to 11 on Thursday. Now, what time he said exactly on Thursday?
10:30, I believe.
10:30 a.m. Rematch. They're going to battle in the Music Challenge, 80s music. Who is the top dog? I don't care who wins. I like both guys. I just like the fact that there's 80s music on. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that a lot. I mean, I believe I remember like at one of the baseball games, wasn't it on the Jumbotron?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Rooney would
put on there was a trivia about trying to figure out the 80s music. That's where they got the idea
from. So there's a little history behind this.
And hopefully that returns next season for UCF baseball. More 80s music, the better. And hey, they put that on last season. They went to the NCAA tournament. That's all I'm saying.
Just saying.
80s music brings good luck.
I'm all about it.
Forget today's music.
Forget it.
What's today's music?
That's right.
Today's music is not even... Most of it's just noise.
Exactly.
Most of it is just noise. So I'm looking forward to Terry Rooney.
You have an early lean? Who are you going to pick?
I don't want to make a pick.
Fair enough.
I'm just going to sit and enjoy it.
I think that's a fair, valid way to do it.
Just like my pick with the World Series. I don't really care who wins. I'm just going to sit back and watch.
The difference is
baseball.
We care more about the 80s music than the World Series.
Exactly.
I think, and that'll be more entertaining.
That should be
I think we've now eclipsed 3 minutes talking about 80s music.
Yeah.
And we have not talked about the World Series at all.
because nobody cares.
80s insider. We need to hire an 80s music insider.
Well, maybe Rooney can be the unofficial 80s insider.
I like it.
Well, I mean, we may have to bring that up next time we see him this weekend, maybe.
We'll have to ask him.
Nonetheless, great stuff again, Coach Rooney on the road, taking the time, and I know you're excited. UCF baseball headed for, I think, another solid season, and which will be good because football is having their struggles, so we need something positive on the UCF campus. Like UCF women's soccer ranked 21st today, going against number 5 Memphis, which I'll be at following this game. Men's soccer ranked 11th. They won last night. You've been out there, so actually it's been a pretty good fall season for UCF sports, except football.
Yeah, our other football clubs are playing a little better, but I don't think it's over for UCF football.
No.
So
the funny thing is now with Marshall getting blown out by Houston last night, they control their own destiny, as they say, which is to win the division title if they win out. Obviously, I think they'll play Memphis on Saturday. I mean, look, Thursday, it's been said, it's been well documented. We talked about it on Tuck and O'Neill on Friday. It was a very disappointing, embarrassing loss to UAB. Rock bottom is hit. You hope the team internally looks into each other and comes out a little more fire starting on Saturday against Memphis, and try to kind of build back, probably with Blake Bortles at quarterback. That's probably what's going to happen there. We'll see what happens this week as it develops. But nonetheless, we'll see how it goes. So we have a call. Who do we got? Who do we got on the line now, Mr. Buckman?
Well, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I'm a mind reader. I can tell by your vision. Ashley Burns, a friend of the show, is calling us now. Mr. Burns, welcome to the ESPN 1080 Insider Show.
That was the most exciting introduction I think I've ever gotten.
Well, you deserved it. Tell the audience. Now, for those that don't know, Mr. Burns covered UCF athletics for a long time. He's a UCF alum, a grad. You still a season ticket holder in football?
I am. He's not under my name. I won't give him that satisfaction right now.
Fair enough.
Everyone loves to dog us, even our own people. That's what I love about UCF.
Our own people are allowed to dog them. No one else outside, right? Yeah. That's how that works. Tell the audience before we get into it, because you are a diehard Dolphin fan like I am. First of all, tell the audience that used to read your work. What have you been up to now?
I currently write for the sports blog With Leather. It's withleather.com. Nothing fancy, but basically fart humor for the sports fans. And then I do some magazine freelancing. Nothing exciting that you really want to hear about right now. But I still get to get my digs in at pro and college sports.
Which is what we like, and that's why we've got you in here now. Because when we're talking Miami Dolphins, we desperately need humor. Ashley, you and I are fans, and it's been a rough year. They played Denver today in the Tim Tebow. Your thoughts on the game?
I think that this is probably the one that Miami's going to win, and I'm at that point right now where I got to decide: am I happy saying that, or am I sad saying it? And I don't want to upset Carlos Dansby any more than he already is. So I'm just going to say that if they lose this game, I won't cry.
Right. That's a fair statement.
And if they win?
If they win, I'll kind of just, thump the table a little bit and say, okay, we won. Great.
See, now, I think there was a sign last night. We were supposed to get the Oklahoma-Texas Tech game locally, and then all of a sudden they had a weather delay. Like Mother Nature wanted everybody to see Andrew Luck. That's how good he is. He can actually postpone a game somewhere else so he can be on national television. I got to be honest. I watched all of that game, even though it was a complete washout, and even though he only threw like 20 passes. I kind of want to go 1-15. I want that number one pick. Am I wrong for saying I want the number one pick and I want Luck?
Absolutely not. I want the number one pick. I want Andrew Luck. I want a franchise quarterback. I listed the other day every single quarterback that the Dolphins have had since Dan Marino, and it is the most depressing list in the history of sports franchise rosters. It's just absolutely, there were guys that I forgot about. Like, I forgot about the Gus Frerotte days. I forgot about Scott Mitchell coming in for Marino when he got injured, and it's the most miserable list. And this is where I disagree with Carlos Dansby. I want a franchise quarterback. We deserve a franchise quarterback. And it's time for us to just say, hey, we had the number one pick, and we took Jake Long, and I was fine with that because, we needed him, and he's paid off great. But now I want to be spoiled. I want to be a little jerk who says, I want Andrew Luck. I want a good quarterback.
So I'm here with three Dolphins fans.
Yeah.
Ashley, you seem like a Dolphins fan.
Yes.
Eric, I know you're a diehard. Vic, you have the O.J. McDuffie jersey from, 1993.
No. That's Chris Chambers.
Chris Chambers.
Thank you.
So,
Get right.
Who would be your guys' favorite of the, 16 quarterbacks, I believe, since Marino?
Oof.
Who would be your guys' favorite? We'll start with you, Ashley, since you're our guest.
My favorite since Marino?
Yes, favorite since Marino.
I never had a problem with Jay Fiedler.
All right.
I thought he was a good enough quarterback. He had that one season where he threw for 4,000 yards. I never had a problem with him because he never had receivers.
He was a smart guy, Dartmouth,
Yeah.
I can go with all that. Lopez, what about you?
Boy, that's a tough question to ask there. That's like picking, which of the ugly girls would you like to go out with? I mean, you got to say Pennington for 1 year. He did bring us a division title somehow, some way. That was probably by default. I was not a feeler guy per se. Did okay, but he had good talent around him, especially in 02. Actually, he had like all these Pro Bowlers around him, defensively and offensively. Well, that was more Dave Wanstead's fault, which we have too much time to get on there.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is. I don't recognize that name. I'm sorry.
Who?
No, we don't.
Mustache Dave.
So I'm going to go by default with Pennington, but by default.
I go Felix.
Ray Lucas, though, baby. Get a consideration.
Well, no Cleo Lemon mentioned?
Ooh, Cleo. Cleo.
He did give us that one win to get us shaken.
Yeah, that's true.
I got to go with Burnsy as well. I like Fiedler. Fiedler was the kind of quarterback who he wouldn't win you the game, but he wouldn't make that mistake to lose you the game either. Plus, he had a great running game behind him. So I got to go with Fiedler.
All right, now, Ashley, who's to blame for this? Why are we in this position to begin with? Who do you blame the most?
I blame Parcells. I don't think he gets enough credit for how terrible he was.
Really?
Yeah, but just the way he ran the team, just personnel decisions?
Every personnel decision. I like Tony Sperano a lot. I hope that he can stay on. I hope that they can figure something out. But if he's fired and it brings us Bill Cowher, then I won't be upset because I think that would be fantastic. But I think Sperano gets too much blame, and I don't think that anybody, Parcells leaves and ESPN hires him up, and they continue to treat him like he's the greatest thing that ever happened to the NFL. But I don't think he got enough blame for just how bad things were put together.
That's pretty fair. So is Cowher the guy that because I think Sperano's not going to survive this. I mean, whether it's fair or not fair, I don't think he's surviving this. You like Cowher as your number one choice?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, they're facing Tim Tebow. Are you on the pro-Tim Tebow side, anti-Tim Tebow side? Where do you stand?
I don't hate Tim Tebow the way that a lot of people like to hate him. I mean, granted, I am not by any means a Gators fan, and I hated the bandwagon nature that when they won their 2 championships, everyone suddenly became a Gators fan. So it drove me nuts to that regard. I don't like the way that he's blown up to godlike proportions, and he's treated like he's the greatest thing that ever happened to college football, and that somehow translates to him he's supposed to be a great NFL quarterback. Like I've always believed that if you're going to be an NFL quarterback, you got to earn your spot and you got to show respect to the guys in front of you. And I mean, he didn't disrespect Kyle Orton by any means, and P.S. thank goodness we didn't trade for him. But I'm not a firm believer that he's this great, amazing quarterback that everyone thinks he was supposed to be.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Who's our biggest threat to Andrew Luck? Who's the team we have to worry about, like getting Andrew Luck before us?
I think it's the Colts. I think that Jim Irsay is basically making it clear that they're going to lay down and lose the games that they have to lose to get him.
That's pretty well going there. As of course we're speaking with Ashley Burns, diehard Dolphin fan. All right, I know you're a Cardinals fan, so I'm going to give you a chance to gloat. Albert Pujols, Cardinals 2 wins from the World Series. I don't think you thought you'd be in this position about a month ago if we had you on the air, did you?
I'm glowing right now. I can't even describe what I watched last night. Like that was the greatest individual World Series performance by one player, Pujols, in over 100 years, apparently. And those home runs were just, it's marvelous to watch. And I hope the media continues to get on him about the most nonsensical stuff that whole he refused to talk to the media after Game 2, because an angry Albert Pujols makes a happy Burnsy.
And a happy Burnsy there. All this talk about him, he's staying with the Cardinals, isn't he?
He absolutely has to. I went to, I took my dad to Game 3 of the NLCS last week, and we were sitting there, and the cheers that he gets, the way he turns 32 in January, so everyone kind of leaves that out of the conversation about where he'll go. And the Cardinals already offered him 8 years. They offered him 9 years with a club option for a 10th year. They offered him 5% ownership stake, which is unheard of, and then $22.5 million a year. It's unfair because Ryan Howard has a contract that he doesn't deserve, and Mark Teixeira also has the huge contract. So Pujols wants the $25 million a year. But if he goes anywhere else, first of all, he's not going to look right in any other uniform. But second and most importantly, if he goes somewhere else and in 4 years he starts to, he hits that decline of a 36-year-old where his body starts to break down on him and he's only hitting 20 home runs and 60 RBIs, St. Louis will still cheer him. If he goes to Chicago, if he goes to Anaheim, San Francisco, Texas, they will boo him after a few years. they will start to get on him, and they'll call him a bad contract. The Cardinals will never do that.
Wow. That's going to be interesting how it plays out. Do you feel the Cardinals can wrap up this series?
I think it's done. I think they have.
Done? You're booking it.
I think last night was a big backbreaker. I mean, there's controversy in last night's game. Matt Holliday was clearly out when they tagged him running to first. It should have been a double play, but instead it opened up the gates and they scored 5 runs. And it's going to take a lot for Texas to bounce back on this.
Wow, that's strong there. That's strong. My producer, Buckman, got a little nervous when you mentioned Mark Teixeira. He's a Yankee fan, so he got a little nervous there. He didn't know where you were going with Teixeira on that one there. Well, you mentioned you're a UCF season ticket holder, so does that mean you'll be at the Memphis game, or should UCF also try to tank for Andrew Luck? Can we do that? Can we petition to get Andrew Luck to UCF?
I'm calling the UCF season the poops for Stoops right now. I'll take I'll take a bad season, and because I've never been quiet about my disdain for George O'Leary and the way the team is run. So
wait, which Stoops you want, Mark? Mike?
I'm just using him as an example. I'm not saying he's the coach I would want, but it works out for a funny catchphrase.
Well, it is catchy, and that could sell. I mean, that could sell. Yeah, it's been a little rough there, but we'll see where it goes from there. All right, Mr. Burns. Once again, plug where people can find you.
With leather.uprocks.com and uprocks.com and filmdrunk.com.
If those names doesn't get you to go to the site right now, I don't know what else will. Ashley, I appreciate you taking the time to join us, and hope for our sake, we're one step closer to Andrew Luck after today, but we'll see.
I appreciate you guys having me, and I hope Tebow's just good enough today.
There you go. See, I agree. Ashley Burns joining us. What do you think about that, Buckman? Dolphin fans, kind of maybe wouldn't mind losing to Tebow today.
Yeah, this is the first time where I could say I love being around Dolphins fans.
First time ever?
First time ever.
Ever?
Because now you guys want to be bad. You don't care what anybody else is doing. You're not talking about your undefeated season. You're talking about your defeated season.
But the problem is with the Dolphins, and Eric, you can relate to this. We always find a way to screw up our best laid plans. Watch the Dolphins go on like a 3-game winning streak, and we'll have the number 5 pick instead of the number 1 pick.
Look. It's a very controversial. Some people have said, why do is it a good idea? Is it good to root against your team? And here's my theory on this. What's the point of going 4-12 and 5-11? What does that get you?
Nothing.
It gets you nothing.
You get the 6th, 7th, 10th pick in the
draft.
Darius
Hayward-Bay.
Just look at the Jaguars.
Correct.
They were just as bad as Carolina last year. They had a few more wins, and now they have Blaine Gabbert, who's probably not going to be that good, compared to Cam Newton, who, rookie year getting, he's averaging over 300 passing yards a game. I mean,
stud.
Yeah, it's a matter of just a few wins, and you go from, a stud to a stiff. So.
Well, it's an NFL quarterback league. And if you get a guy like Andrew Luck, who everyone is saying is better than Peyton Manning coming out of college, could be an unbelievable prospect, you have a great quarterback, you have a chance, you have hope. If you have Andrew Luck, I mean, we could play this game. We'll probably play this game at some point during the show, which is luck or no luck, which means we'll go through the entire NFL league and see what teams would take Andrew Luck over their current quarterback.
I would take Andrew Luck over Eli Manning.
Really? You'd take him over Eli Manning right now?
Even though Eli won you a Super Bowl.
Eli won a Super Bowl, but, Andrew Luck would give me another 15 years of a quarterback I know that's going to be a sure thing.
Yeah, as long as Coughlin's not there yet, I agree with you.
But Manning, it's week in, week out. I don't. This year he's a little better, but in the past,
how many minutes?
You never know.
How much time we got left on the show?
Just a couple minutes, about a minute.
All right, we won't do the luck. We'll do the luck. We'll save that for another show. But we will go through every NFL team and see who would take Andrew Luck over the current team. And you're saying if you're a Giant, you're telling me you would take Andrew Luck right now over Eli Manning.
I would trade Eli Manning, but I don't think we'd be able to get the first overall.
No, you're not. But I'm saying hypothetically, if you had the choice,
yeah, I would do it.
Wow.
Nobody in the NFL would trade the number 1 overall pick, in which Andrew Luck would be drafted for Eli Manning.
And if you're the Dolphins, you're going up against Brady in that division. The only way you could compete, if you get Andrew Luck, I think he's better than Mark Sanchez. He's better than Ryan Fitzpatrick. You automatically, instantly move up in the AFC East. You got some nice, decent talent with Brandon Marshall. You got Jake Long in the offensive line.
Daniel Thomas,
a rookie. We'll see how he develops as the year goes on. You're probably going to have a new head coach, so I think that's the move you have to do with the Dolphins. It's not that we enjoy being this bad. It's just this is the only way to get better.
We want to be this bad. You have no choice.
Let's have to. All right. So once again, we want to thank Andrew Melnick for joining us from Tallahassee, head UCF baseball coach Terry Rooney for joining us today as well.
Eric DeSalvo for setting it up.
So Eric DeSalvo, fine SID at UCF, setting it up as well. A People Insider filling in today. Tell the audience again where they can find us.
Twitter.com, Insiders1080, Facebook.com, ESPN1080 Insiders.
Buckman, you're going to be producing NFL Sunday today, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this Bucks game from
Bucks and
London.
Bears from London, England, here on ESPN 1080, the home of the Tampa Bay Bucks, followed by the Packers and the Vikings. Kristen Ponder's debut. Sunday Night Football will not be. It'll be World Series tonight, Rangers-Cardinals, Game 4.
But quite frankly, who cares about Sunday Night Football?
It's true. It's Colts Saints. Not
Exactly.
watchable there. Go Colts. Try to find a way to win a game, all right?
Yes!
All right, everybody. For Buckman, for the People's Insider, Andrew Melnick, and everybody here at ESPN 1080, I'm Eric Lopez. You've been listening to ESPN 1080 Insider Show on ESPN 1080, the team, your sports leader here in Orlando.